All right, Celtic faithful, gather round because there's a storm swirling over Lennoxtown, and we need to unpack exactly what's going on. The last few days have been nothing short of chaos, even by Celtic's dramatic standards. We're talking departures, shock appointments, boardroom decisions that leave you scratching your head, and a familiar face back in the hot seat after more than 2 decades away. Yes, Martin O'Neill has returned, at least for now, and with him comes a whole wave of questions about where the club is heading next. So let's start right at the heart of it. Brendan Rodgers is gone, and his exit has sent shockwaves through the club. You can feel it, right? Players unsettled, coaches leaving, and a fan base once again split between frustration and cautious hope. John Kennedy, who gave almost 3 decades of his life to Celtic, has quietly slipped out the door without even a proper farewell from the club. 27 years of service, countless contributions to player development, and not a single official statement acknowledging his departure. It's the kind of silence that says a lot, and not in a good way. Alongside Kennedy, several of Rodgers' backroom team have also left. Adam Sadler, Jack Lyons, Glenn Driscoll, all gone. It's like Lennoxtown has turned into a revolving door lately. People coming and going faster than anyone can keep track of. And then, out of nowhere, the big headline: Martin O'Neill is back. Yes, the man who led Celtic to some of its most glorious nights in the early 2000s, the one who brought us that swagger and belief, is suddenly back in charge, even if it's only on an interim basis. But here's the twist: he's not alone. Sean Maloney, who's been working at the club in player development, has been pulled into the front line alongside him. Normally, in these situations, you'd expect the club to hand temporary control to someone already embedded in the coaching structure. Maybe let them steady the ship for a few games while a long-term appointment is sorted. But Celtic, being Celtic, never seemed to do things the simple way. Instead, we get this intriguing O'Neill and Maloney partnership, an unusual blend of experience and youth, nostalgia and fresh perspective. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a touch of magic about seeing Martin O'Neill back in Celtic colors, but it's clear even he was caught off guard. You could see it in his interviews, that mix of disbelief and dry humor that only he can pull off. When asked how he felt about being back, he admitted he hadn't seen it coming. And when Celtic TV wrapped up his first interview by wishing him good luck, O'Neill chuckled and said, "Thank you. I'll need it." That tells you everything about where things stand right now. A man brought in to calm the chaos, but fully aware that the task ahead is massive. Sean Maloney, for his part, came across as open, honest, and grounded. He didn't try to dress things up or hide behind cliches. He talked about how difficult the last 24 hours had been for everyone at the training ground. Hectic, emotional, and honestly, quite traumatic. You can tell he's feeling the weight of responsibility, especially after the sudden departure of John Kennedy, who was such a key figure for so many of the players. Maloney mentioned that Kennedy's exit hit the homegrown lads particularly hard. Guys like Callum McGregor and Kieran Tierney, who came through the academy under his guidance. That tells you how deep the disruption runs right now. And amidst all of this, the club finally confirmed who's part of the new coaching setup. Stephen McManus and Mark Fotheringham joined the team. McManus, the B team manager, and Fotheringham, who recently left Swansea City. McManus stepping up makes sense, but it leaves questions about who's going to take charge of the B side now. Maybe Johnny Hayes? That's one for the board to sort, though communication hasn't exactly been their strong suit lately. Fotheringham's inclusion adds another layer of intrigue. Known for his intensity and demanding style, he brings experience from England and Europe. Martin O'Neill gave him a hard time back in their playing days, but it seems all's forgiven now. The club also confirmed that Gavin Strachan and Stevie Woods are sticking around. Woods, of course, is practically part of the furniture at this point, one of the most respected goalkeeping coaches in Britain, and Strachan's survival amid the shakeup is surprising, given how many others have been shown the door. And then there's Greg Wallace, recently promoted from his role as an analyst to join the coaching group. No, not that Greg Wallace from the telly, thankfully, but a sharp mind from within Celtic's own system. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Stevie Hamill looks set to take over from Chris McCart as head of academy and youth development at the end of the season, a big move considering McCart has held that post for well over a decade. What all of this really shows is the scale of the upheaval going on behind closed doors. It's like the entire club's structure has been shaken up in the wake of Rodgers' exit. People being shuffled around, jobs redefined, promotions handed out in haste. It's all very Celtic, that mix of chaos and resilience that we've come to know too well. But amidst the noise, there was something oddly reassuring about that joint press conference yesterday. Seeing O'Neill and Maloney together, speaking openly, without spin, without PR polish, it actually felt refreshing. O'Neill, as always, brought humor and self-awareness. When asked about comments he made just hours before being appointed, when he'd backed Hearts to win the league, he laughed and said, "I stand by everything I said yesterday, but if I'd known I was getting the job, I'd have kept quiet." That's classic O'Neill, honest, wry, and human. Maloney matched that tone perfectly, joking that O'Neill told him he'd rely heavily on him early on and then blame him if things went wrong. It's lighthearted, yes, but you can sense genuine respect and camaraderie between them. Both men have already made it clear, this is temporary. O'Neill said it outright. He's the interim manager, nothing more. Maloney will return to his previous role when it's all over. And that honesty is important, because for once, there's no pretending this is some grand new project. It's a patch-up job, plain and simple, to steady the team and give the board time to make a proper appointment. But make no mistake, the club is in turmoil. There's no escaping it. After the Rodgers era, whatever stability existed has gone up in smoke. The players are unsettled, the staff's been gutted, and the fans are desperate for leadership and transparency. And while we can all appreciate the nostalgia of seeing O'Neill back on the touchline, everyone knows this is just the calm before the next big decision. Who becomes the next permanent Celtic manager? Early talk suggests Kieran McKenna, the Ipswich Town boss, is on the radar. His rise has been impressive, guiding Ipswich from League One to the Premier League in back-to-back seasons, though they've since dropped back to the Championship. Reports suggest he's admired within Celtic Park and could come under serious consideration. The problem? He's under contract until the summer of 2028, and prizing him away would cost around £5 million in compensation. That's a hefty sum, but when you consider the money Celtic have splashed on players in recent years, it's not unthinkable. Still, the question is whether McKenna would even want to leave England, especially for a job that's as high pressure and politically charged as Celtic. Others have been linked too. Robbie Keane's name has popped up, though that one feels like a stretch. His managerial record is mixed, and his recent stint in Hungary has been controversial for off-field reasons. There's even been faint talk about Ange Postecoglou, though anyone holding out hope for his return might want to let that go. Ange doesn't do second stints. He moves forward, not back. What's clear is that the next appointment has to be right. Celtic can't afford another cycle of chaos and quick fixes. The board's credibility is already shaky, and every decision now will be judged harshly. Dermot Desmond, as always, looms large in the background, pulling strings and making calls. Some might say O'Neill's return has his fingerprints all over it, the kind of dramatic, headline-grabbing move that Desmond loves. After all, when Rodgers left the first time, it was Desmond who engineered Neil Lennon's immediate return. It's his style, big gestures to remind everyone who's really running the show. And that brings us to the wider question. Where does Celtic go from here? The squad is talented but fractured. The supporters are loyal but restless. The connection between boardroom and terraces feels weaker than it has in years. There's talk of fan collectives calling for accountability, and even within the club's own communication, the cracks are showing. Recently, Celtic officials denied there was any disconnect between the board and the manager. Now Desmond himself admits there's been one for quite some time. If that doesn't sum up the confusion at the top, nothing does. Through all of this, one thing remains constant: Celtic endures. No matter the turmoil, the speculation, the boardroom drama, this club finds a way to keep moving. The next few weeks are going to define what kind of season we're heading into, and who will be steering the ship come the summer. But for now, all eyes are on Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney. Two men from different generations, thrown together in the middle of a storm, trying to restore some pride and calm to a club that never does quiet. Now, as we move into this next phase of Celtic's roller coaster, it feels like every day brings a new twist. What started as shock and confusion has now turned into a sort of uneasy curiosity about how things might actually play out. The dust is beginning to settle around Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney's temporary takeover. And what's becoming clearer is that the two of them are trying to bring a bit of order to what's been a complete mess. You can tell from their early interviews and the atmosphere around Lansdowne that they're focused on one thing: stabilizing the squad, at least enough to get through the coming fixtures without the club spiraling any further. Training has been intense, and Maloney seems to be right in the thick of it. Players have said that the sessions have a renewed energy, a bit of spark that had been missing. There's a sense that everyone's trying to impress again, almost like a reset button's been pressed. Maloney's always been known for his attention to detail, and that's starting to show in the way he's handling the drills. He's been working closely with the senior players, particularly Callum McGregor, who's been a rock during this whole period of upheaval. McGregor's leadership is invaluable right now. He's been the glue holding the dressing room together when it could easily have fractured completely. Martin O'Neill, on the other hand, brings that old-school presence, the authority that commands respect just by walking into a room. He doesn't need to shout or over-explain. He's Martin O'Neill, a man who's been there and done it all, and that alone gives him credibility with the players. But even he seems to be approaching this stint with humility, aware that football has changed massively since he last stood on the Celtic touchline. His experience, though, still matters. He knows what it means to manage Celtic under pressure, to deal with the expectation that comes with every pass, every missed chance, every win or loss. You could see during his first media duties that, despite the shock, part of him still loves it. The spark is still there, buried beneath the years away. Behind the scenes, the real question is what the board's long-term plan looks like. There's been talk of a shortlist, but it's all whispers at this point. Kieran McKenna remains the name most frequently mentioned. Those sources close to Ipswich are saying that he's unlikely to move mid-season. His contract and the compensation involved make that deal complicated, but it's not impossible. What Celtic might have to decide is whether they're willing to wait until the summer to get the man they want, or if they'll rush to appoint someone else to avoid a prolonged interim period. And that's where things could get messy, because patience is not something the Celtic support or hierarchy are exactly known for. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Whispers are swirling around Lansdowne this week, and they're not the kind of murmurs Celtic fans were hoping to hear. According to sources close to the club, manager Brendan Rodgers has drawn a hard line with one of his star forwards, Kyogo Furuhashi. The Japanese striker, once hailed as the heartbeat of Celtic's attack, is now reportedly on the outs after a heated exchange with the gaffer. The story broke after what insiders describe as a tense and emotional training session earlier this week. Rodgers, visibly frustrated, is said to have shouted, "He doesn't play for me again." Words that, if true, could send shockwaves through Parkhead. Furuhashi, known for his humble nature and relentless work rate, appeared stunned by the outburst. The two have had minor disagreements before, but this, by all accounts, feels different. Fans on social media have been buzzing ever since, with some defending Rodgers' no-nonsense approach, while others fear the situation could spiral out of control. After all, Furuhashi has been a fan favorite since his arrival from Vissel Kobe, bringing flair, precision, and a knack for scoring in big moments. Losing him, even temporarily, would be a massive blow for a Celtic side still fighting to keep their rhythm in both domestic and European campaigns. Club insiders are staying tight-lipped, insisting there's no major issue, but the silence feels uneasy. Some speculate that the argument may have stemmed from tactical disagreements or Furuhashi's frustration at being rotated in recent fixtures. Others whisper of a deeper clash of personalities, Rodgers' fiery intensity meeting Kyogo's quiet but firm self-belief. For now, no official statement has been made, and both men were conspicuously distant during the latest training session. But if Rodgers truly means his words, the fallout could define Celtic season. It's a storm that could either blow over quietly or rip the dressing room apart. And everyone in Glasgow is watching closely to see which way the wind blows. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.